Okay, welcome. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Rebuilding from the Inside Out. I'm Machell Wright, life health coach and founder of Wright Life Health Coaching. I'm so glad you're joining us, whether you're here live or watching the replay. Tonight, I'm joined by Dr. Jennifer Hicks, a sobriety wellness coach who brings not only her professional expertise to this work, but 24 years of continuous lived sobriety. Jennifer, welcome. I'm so excited to have you in this conversation. And tonight, we're talking about sobriety, self trust, and the courage to begin again. And while sobriety is an important part of Jennifer's work, this conversation reaches even further because I think most of us know what it feels like to have to rebuild something in our lives. So, Jennifer, let's start at the beginning. We'll get started with the first question. Okay, for someone meeting you for the first time, tell us who you are and what led you to become a sobriety coach.
Yes, I am Jennifer Hicks. I am also the self-proclaimed smart A-lady doc. That's because I have spent over 45 years taking care of women as an obstetrician gynecologist in mostly underserved areas of the southeastern region of the United States. And so I realized that I have done a lot of coaching during those years. I am actually what I call semi-retired now. So I took on the coaching certification about 2 years ago, hoping to spend some time building a different kind of life for myself. And then I learned that while I was a coach, there were certain specific techniques that I learned. So I went through a learning experience, something other than medicine, which I had not studied in a very long time. So it was actually 2 years ago, and I sort of avoided establishing a niche until now. I searched out of all the many different things, health kinds of things I had talked about, and then there was my experience as a recovering alcoholic staring me in the face. So it comes from personal experience. And out of that, I took a specific framework. That framework actually is what has kept me going, both in sobriety and as the person that I am. And that framework is truth. Tell the truth about where you are. I wasn't allowed to do anything but that in the Baptist church growing up. Rewrite limiting beliefs, understanding your strengths, strengthen yourself through self trust by being active, work toward it, do it in action, and then taking courageous steps forward. Steps forward aren't always easy, so it does take some courage. That's how I got here. I am living in central Mississippi, and my companion here is a 15-year-old toy poodle who pretty much runs the house.
I understand. And I can relate to what you talked about the church part and telling the truth. So I can definitely relate to that. Okay, next question. You talk about helping professionals in early sobriety rebuild trust in themselves. What does losing trust in yourself actually look like, and how do you begin rebuilding it?
Uh, Persons in addiction, in my case, alcohol, tend to lose that self-trust. The disease itself sort of whittles away at the personality and at who you think you are, who you know yourself to be. So it creates some deep-seated doubts in persons that still linger once you've come out of a treatment program or out of detox or whatever avenue you've taken. those doubts can be magnified during that period of time. You doubt your decision making capability. You doubt what the perceptions that you have of yourself and what you think other people perceive of you. Uh, it takes a sort of emotional resilience. So your emotions can be all over the place, but it takes establishing a sense of emotional resilience to rebound because you spend a lot of time second guessing yourself. Um, and from that place of fear or emptiness, then there's a lot of rebuilding that has to be done.
Okay. And that makes sense. That kind of resonates with me as well because that's also part of the program that I do. It's about self trust, learning how to trust yourself again and believe in yourself and changing the identity all kind of roll in together.
Hmm.
So getting people to follow through and become consistent and start working on their consistency.
Hmm.
Yeah, helps
Yeah,
build it.
it's sort of difficult to think about setting goals and trying to figure out which way you're going during that period. But it is important to make what in the business world they call them SMART goals. You know, they have to be specific. They have to be measurable. They have to be achievable. They have to be relevant, and time bound. You can't say that I'm going to lose this 50 pounds in 2 weeks. That doesn't make sense. So it means making smart goals, and it means taking little baby steps at a time. One of the things I learned when I was in the coaching training was small hinges swing big doors. And when they introduced that to me, it didn't quite fit. But during the course of the training and everything, I realized it means just taking small steps at first to get you to the larger goal that you want to achieve.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Okay, next question. One thing I talk about in my coaching is progress over perfection. How important is letting go of perfection when someone is rebuilding their life in early sobriety?
I sort of laughed at myself when I read that question because because I am the perfectionist. That was probably part of what got me into trouble. Having grown up in the South in the Baptist church, and in the 1950s, that's how you got out of of the limitations that were put upon us as women and as Black people. And so you just pushed hard and you perfected things.
Right.
Uh, and perfectionism gets you stuck.
Yeah.
Perfectionism breeds procrastination
Right.
because if you want to have it perfect, then nobody is perfect.
Right.
So it means doing it and then doing it again and then doing it again because the first time you do it is not going to be perfect. That's just all to it. And so it comes to accepting that and learning to work with it and work through it to where you can actually start moving forward.
Yes. Very well said. Very well said. I agree 100%. A lot of us do suffer from perfectionism. I suffer from it uh, for the most part. I've tried to get over it and I've gotten a little bit better at it. But yeah, when you want to do things the right way, then yeah, it makes it tough to do it any other way. So, right. Okay. Your program focuses on healthy mindset, daily habits, and community support. Why are daily habits so important when someone is trying to create lasting change?
The the human spirit, the human body itself seeks calm and safety. That's you go back to the fight or flight. kinds of periods when you get in trouble. You either go or you stand and fight. So it's actually the parasympathetic system of the body and the human nervous system that seeks this safety and calm all of the time. So setting lasting, predictable habits helps the body to feel like you're working at taking care of it, helps the body to feel more calm and safe, so you stay more on an even keel. One example I'll give you is when I was in treatment, one of the rules that they had that you had to get up every morning and make up the bed. I didn't understand at all what making up my bed had to do with my being sober. But as I grew in sobriety over the next few weeks or so, I really realized that that indeed did give me a sense of calm, gave me a sense of the fact that I was doing something, some effort to take care of myself and to make my life better. So those habits, whether it's keeping the house straight, whether it's cleaning up a particular place that makes you feel good, uh, whether it's setting up certain routines, all of those let your system know that you're taking care of yourself.
That is true. Yeah, and it makes perfect sense. I can see why that would be really important. Okay, next question. What happens when somebody has a bad day or falls out of the routine they were trying to build? How do you help them avoid turning one difficult day into I've fallen, so forget it?
One of the most important points is to forgive yourself. Uh, Sometimes we can be harder on ourselves than anybody else. So the first thing would be to consciously forgive yourself, and then to fall back on those self-care routines. Those are the things that feed your endorphins, those feel-good hormones. Uh, Whether it's for you, it's meditation. Whether it's a spiritual practice, I'm a big time prayer myself. Or whether it's physical exercise, music, a hot bath, whatever you see as a self care routine that makes you feel good and makes you proud of yourself, then you come in from a bad day, things didn't go right at the office, the traffic was terrible. The first thing you do is do something that makes you feel good.
Yes, and that definitely does work. Um, yeah, different things that do make you feel good. So I can kind of understand that. So, what does that look like for you as far as some of the things that you do to make yourself feel good?
Oh boy, how long have we got? I swim. I took swimming lessons as a young girl at the Black Pool in Mississippi in the South in the 1950s.
Okay.
I swim. I sing. I grew up in the Baptist church choir, and I can sing to myself, and my dog just sits and listens to me. I enjoy writing. As a matter of fact, I'm working on a piece about this experience that I've had over the last some years. And so I've got a bunch of things that I do for me. I like to travel. Um, and I've gotten pretty good at this stage in my life. I guess maybe early on when I was very busy in my career, I wasn't so good at taking care of myself. But at this stage of my life, and I do have a little bit more time now to do so, is I can easily come up with things to make me feel better. I do have two especially good things too. I have two young grandsons, 13 and 7. So and they're getting into texting and FaceTiming with me and so forth. So I've got a whole basket of things that I keep up with.
Okay. Yeah, I understand about the grandchildren. Yes, they definitely can keep you going, and yeah, they're real good at that. So
Yeah.
I definitely have some experience in that myself.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, next question. How do boundaries fit into sobriety wellness, especially when someone has relationships or environments that may not support the person they're becoming?
Sometimes this is a difficult one because we were set in a set of habits, most of which were not good habits. They were negative habits. So it means places and people sometimes have to change. I entered a bar restaurant where I frequented frequently in my disease. And the young man was so happy that he bounded up to me. He had not seen me in a while. I was a regular, and he brought me my favorite drink. I had to say no. I was very proud of myself that I was able to. And actually, I was pretty glad about being able to say no. And that comes with some relationships too. Some people don't understand what addiction is, what the disease is. So they'll say, "Well, oh, you can have one drink, can't you? Or come on and go out with us. You're different. You always used to hang with us." And sometimes you just have to say no. It can be difficult. You can be tempted, but those kinds of persons or places can trigger relapse, and that is not what we want. It means sometimes establishing different places and different relationships. And it also means establishing a real sobriety community. Um, there are groups, there are people, there are persons, there are places that specifically cater to people in sobriety. And those kinds of habits are important to establish.
Okay. Now, was that something you understood immediately or did it take time?
It takes time. Um, I am pretty much a loner person. And at first, I did not understand why sitting in a meeting with other people who were suffering, I didn't understand how at all that was going to help me. But being able to voice your problems about the struggles that you're having with either staying sober or feeling uncomfortable around other people, being able to voice that out loud and being able to voice it in a welcoming community of people who have either gone through it before or will go through it, are currently going through it, gives a sense of relief and community. So early on, it was very important to me. Community was very important to me. At this stage, I'm blessedly quite a bit stronger and is not as much of a requirement in my daily routine as it was early on. So that's why it's important to set up early community commitment, early connection to other people. Um, and it doesn't have to be people only in a recovery community. If you've got good friends and family, I had wonderful family members and friends who stood by me through the process and clapped as hard for me as I was clapping for myself. So it does mean setting up those kinds of connections.
Okay. And you kind of answered something else I was going to say, but I'll go ahead and ask it anyway, and you might want to kind of expound on it a little bit.
Hmm.
What would you say to somebody watching who is experiencing that right now?
Don't do it alone. Um, it's important because the monster that is disease, that is addiction, whether it alcohol or any addiction, plays on a mind that's not stimulated and not protected. So it's important to reach out to other people, whether it's somebody in a recovery community, whether it's somebody in a faith community. It's important not to do it alone. Like I said, I thought I could do it myself. I was an educated person and I knew what the disease was. I had watched an elder sister die of the disease. She had tried many times to fight it and couldn't do it. So I figured then, sure, I can just stop cold turkey and do it alone. But that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. As a matter of fact, spiritually, I was reassured that I needed help, and I actually sought it. Um, we didn't talk much about whether it's related to health and relationships, consistently doing what we need to do, but it takes over your relationships. It takes over your mind. It takes over your ability to do what you know how to do normally. And knowing doesn't make isn't strong enough to actually pull you into a recovery situation. We know better, but we don't consistently do better, and that's where I was. I had to hit bottom. Now my bottom was different from a lot of people's bottoms. Blessedly, I was sitting on the floor in my apartment when I asked for help of the big daddy that I serve. So that was my bottom. Sometimes, unfortunately, it takes hitting bottom to actually make that commitment to change, to mindset change, to make a commitment to dealing with other people in community, and to accepting accountability. So that's what my programs do. Are help with that kind of accountability, that person to listen and hold space for people who are making mindset change.
Right. That's awesome. And I'm sure there are people that are listening live or people that will listen on the replay that can really benefit from what you just said. And I definitely understand about the hitting the rock bottom part, or in the case of the coaching that I do, is when you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired and you want to make a change, you want to do something different.
Yeah.
So it still comes back to that.
It is a sense of shame. It's a sense of not feeling good enough, or the imposter syndrome that holds a lot of people just one step away from stepping over that line to asking for help, to receiving help. Shame is a huge burden that people in disease carry. Fear is another. Um, Feeling like you don't fit in. So it's impossible to um, get walk around those things, to overcome those things without facing them. And then once you face them, help can be achieved.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now I want to shift a little bit and talk about relationships and how that affects your relationships when you're either before you admit that you have a problem and then after you admitted that you have a problem.
Mhm. Uh, Relationships, usually the first relationships that are affected are family or close people close around you, because most of the times they are the ones who are going to recognize the problem first. It depends on whether they have the courage to face you or to intervene in your disease. Most people are are in the throes of real disease, of real addiction, are in denial. uh, they cannot face the fact that they have allowed themselves to get into this place, or that something else has taken over their lives, and so they're strictly in denial. And like I told you before, I wasn't in denial, but I thought I could do it myself. Relationships also are affected at in the workplace, and especially working with professionals. Um, all the people around you know what's going on and maybe are even sometimes talking about what's going on before you realize it. Um, so those relationships are affected or damaged. Nobody trusts you, trusts your decision making. Um, there is a real weird example too about a personal relationship. You can have intimate relationships with people who want you to recover, and then once you do, they've been so busy taking care of you, then they're no longer a part of the relationship. They will pull away from the relationship. So you can't tell how people, whether they're family or close persons, or whether they're professional persons, you can't tell how they're going to react. And so therein some of the fear lies. So you don't actually know how people are going to react. So it takes a mindset shift, a reframing of the way you think in order to be confident enough in who you are and this new life that you've taken on. You have to be consistent about that. Make it a habit of being consistent about who you are now. I was afraid at first whether or not I was going to even like myself. I was the life of the party, and I enjoyed drinking fine wine and stuff. So when in early recovery, I wasn't sure whether I was going to like myself because I didn't do that anymore. I love myself now. And it's important to establish that it's inside. It's important for these persons, professional persons or otherwise, to establish that inside and be consistent. Then the relationships on the outside can be rebuilt. Trust in yourself and in trust in other persons can be rebuilt. Sometimes it's not going to happen. Sometimes you are going to lose friendships. Sometimes you are going to lose status at work, but not always. It can be overcome, except in those exceptional situations where it wasn't going to work in the first place.
And that makes perfect sense. That self trust, self love, all those are extremely important, no matter what you're involved in, whether it's sobriety or just trying to bounce back from when life knocks you down.
In life, yes.
Right. So
But
those are very important.
I think there should be a 12-step program for life,
Well,
for living day to day. It
I
works.
agree. I agree. Okay, next question. You have 24 years of continuous sobriety. Looking back, is there something you understand about yourself today that you wish the Jennifer in early sobriety had known?
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with being sober. Uh, a lot of people in the sober community, like I mentioned earlier, Alcoholics Anonymous is one of the larger programs that deals directly with my disease. And but I am not anonymously an alcoholic. I am a very vocal alcoholic. And I think early on I might have not been so certain about that. Um, but it didn't take long for me to come to the point of being very vocal about speaking about the disease itself. Maybe it was the doctor person who so easily talked about it at first, but it is Jennifer now who talks about it. And basically, I can talk about it because I'm really pretty glad about it. It brings me a sense of joy uh, to know that I was blessed. Only 30% of people in alcoholic addiction actually recover and stay recovered. 30% out of the millions of people around the world who have the disease. And to say that I can claim having survived and am blessed enough to thrive and then tell somebody about it, is what I have progressively learned over those years from the beginning.
Okay, that's good information. That's the first time I actually heard statistics on sobriety and people surviving it. I've known some people who, at the time I met a certain person, they had been sober over 10 years,
Mhm,
and they worked as a counselor, helping
mhm,
people.
mhm.
So yeah, I've come across some people who say that they had been sober for quite a amount of time. So I guess that means that I've actually come in contact with a good number of that 30%.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Relapse, unfortunately, is a real thing,
right,
but it doesn't mean you can't come back from that as well.
right. And I could understand why, because like we were talking about before, life, I mean, it, it be lifing, as they say. I mean, for lack
Yeah,
of a better way of saying it, but
yeah.
yeah.
When I first heard the kids say that, it took me a day or so to figure out what they were talking about, but I totally understand and agree.
Right. Yes, most definitely. Okay. I don't know if we have any comments, but we will address those at a later date and time. I'll make sure that we get those addressed if anybody drops comments in the chat. So for right now, let's go here and Dr. Jennifer, tell us about your free webinar, From Surviving to Thriving, and what are the 5 areas you help people begin working through?
Okay, my webinar is a 50-minute virtual group webinar, and it is free. From surviving to thriving, 5 keys to reclaiming joy and confidence in early sobriety. Those areas, of course, are recovery habits, making those habits a part of who you are, changing the story that you tell yourself, trust in yourself and in other persons, community, and then moving forward in your own strength and in your own new survival. It's 50 minutes of fun. I get to talk like I just did.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, next question. Now, who would be a great fit for your eight week sobriety wellness boot camp? And what might someone be experiencing right now that would tell them this program may be for me?
Okay. I have basically developed 2 products right now. I have a 4 weeks of wellness boot camp, which is a mini camp where you spend weekly 50-minute visits virtually. And it's a squeezed down version of the otherwise fuller workshop. The 8 weeks confidence and joy in recovery program is where you learn these habits, where the first week, of course, is just getting to know each other and making sure that you are comfortable with who I am and what I do. I hold space. Um, while it's easy for me to be joyous and tell you about it, I step back and hold space for persons who need to grow in their own sobriety. Uh, the kinds of persons I like to see in those groups, of course, are professionals, but um, first and foremost, the most important thing is somebody who is ready to stay sober and to accept a commitment to staying sober and to accountability. Because while I hold space to allow persons to go inside and figure out things for themselves, I don't tell them what to do. I don't preach. I don't force any type of religion or anything. I hold space to allow persons to find those things for themselves. But it is my job in that program to offer accountability, and that's sometimes some exercises and some homework, and just uh, holding their feet to the fire, if they will, so that they set forth on doing the goals that they have for themselves. So my ideal client is early in sobriety. They may be feeling a little shaky or uncertain about how to manage fear of where they are, either personally or professionally. They have problems with self image, whether that is personal or professional as well. And in professionals, sometimes you have a sense of resentment in the hurdles that you have to go through as far as monitoring as a professional, so that the powers that be, whether doctor, lawyer, nurse, Indian chief, um, eh, can monitor and make sure that you are strong enough to deal with the public or whomever it is that you're serving. I work with people who have a fear of failure at being sober. And then, of course, the imposter syndrome. How did I get here, and do I really deserve this?
Okay, wonderful. And we'll make sure that everyone has your information so they can connect with you after tonight.
Very good. If you're interested, and I know you are, the my website is www.smartaLadyDoc.com, and at the top of the page there is a banner about the recovery program, the sobriety program that I offer.
Okay, awesome. And I also put that information on the little banner so that everybody has a chance to take a look and they'll be able to take a picture of that.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to share this information with you.
And I appreciate you being here. So, if something in tonight's conversation made you realize that you're ready to make changes in your life, but you're tired of starting over and trying to figure everything out by yourself, that's the work that I do with Right Life Health Coaching. I help busy adults build lasting health through faith, consistency, and simple systems that fit real life. If you'd like to explore what that could look like for you, I invite you to schedule a complimentary discovery call with me. We'll talk about where you are, where you'd like to go, and whether one on one or group coaching might be the right next step. Jennifer, thank you for being my guest on Rebuilding from the Inside Out.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, if this conversation made you think of somebody who needs to hear it, please share it with them. Tonight, we've talked a lot about rebuilding trust, and I think that's a good place to leave this. You don't have to rebuild everything at once, you just have to be willing to take the next initial step. I'm Machell Wright with Right Life Health Coaching, and this has been Rebuilding from the Inside Out. Jennifer, thank you again. And everyone watching, thank you for spending this part of the evening with us. Good night
Well,
and be blessed.